Hello and welcome to Barracuda Guiding and CudaFly Bonefish the Bahamas. As you can see, it's another glorious day in paradise, and today we're on the island of Eleuthera at the town of Governor's Harbour. The bonefishing this week has been absolutely amazing. On one side of the harbour we've been using floating lines and small crab and shrimp patterns. On the other side of the harbour we've been using clear intermediate lines and a variety of small baitfish patterns. The bone fishing here is unbelievable. These fish fight like nothing you've ever seen before. They can easily take all of your line plus 30 to 50 yards of backing on every run. Even the smallest bonefish will take you a minimum of 8 to 10 minutes to land, and my god, do your arms ache afterwards. Now before we go bone fishing, let's have a quick look at the equipment we're going to use today. Firstly, the rod. I prefer a G Loomis cross current 9 foot in an 8 weight. These are very fast rods with a very quick recovery rate. For me, this means I can get smaller, tighter loops, are able to cast into the wind. However, they do still give good presentation, and on water that's clear as it is here in the Bahamas, presentation is what it's all about. These bonefish are so spooky. If you splash the water, if you put the fly too close to them, they will just move away and you won't see them for the rest of the day. Unfortunately, that then means there's a good chance you will then blank. However, if you fish correctly, lay the line on the water nice and gently, put the fly maybe 20, 30 feet ahead of where the fish are, you will get some unbelievable sport. Much the same as when we fish still waters or even rivers back in the UK. The better the approach, the more fish you will get at the end of the day. Now the reel. This particular reel is made by Sage. It's a large arbor. You don't necessarily have to go for a Sage reel or one of the more expensive makes. However, I do believe you get what you pay for. If you go for a cheaper, inferior reel, especially with the sand, and it's very, very fine sand here, that gets into the clutch mechanism, and unfortunately if you've got a bonefish on, that bonefish runs, and your clutch mechanism sticks, unfortunately you've lost that fish. On this particular reel, I have a floating line made by Rio, which is also in an 8 weight. This is a saltwater line. The reason I go for a saltwater line is it has a smaller head section, therefore that helps me cast into the wind, but it also helps me cast the slightly bigger, heavier flies that we sometimes need. Attached to this line we have a tapered leader, a bonefish leader that's supplied by Rio. The reason I go for a tapered leader, again, it helps with that turnover, especially with the bigger flies, and it gives me just that extra bit of presentation. Attached to that tapered leader, I have 3 or 4 foot of fluorocarbon tippet material. Effectively, this hides the line in the water. The fluorocarbon tippet material basically becomes invisible in water. Attached to the end of this, the really important thing out of everything, the fly. At the end of the day, this is what the fish is going to go for. This particular fly is called the Charlie Sand. When we go back to the UK, obviously I'll show you how to tie this fly and some other of the great patterns that you will need whilst you're out here in the Bahamas. The other equipment I have is on another reel. I have a clear intermediate line for when I'm fishing the slightly deeper water. Again, I've preloaded this on a large arbor reel. And lastly, a strip and glove. This may seem a bit over the top, however, when you see how much these fish actually fight without the strip and glove, your hand will eventually be cut to shreds. On top of that, obviously you would need your normal fishing equipment, good set of polarised glasses, nice comfortable shirt, flats boots, something to drink, and obviously the flies. So that's the equipment out the way. Let's go bone fishing and let's see what all this bone fishing and fishing the Bahamas is all about.